This is Americana Podcast, the 51st state. Okay, y'all, we need to talk about something. At first, we only heard about it in whispers or read it in the occasional citation or maybe saw a comic in the New Yorker about it. But now it's been going on for a while and we can no longer ignore the elephant in the room. Bluegrass is considered cool now. I know, I'd like to say I'm surprised, but I'm really not. Bluegrass music has a rich and vibrant history dating back to the early 20th century. It's a genre that encapsulates regional identity, creative freedom, and advanced musical ability, all the while nurturing a vibrant base of music lovers and players through its natural communal education. So many players in bluegrass come up in the scene by learning to play standard bluegrass tunes from those around them. Friends, family, neighbors, local bluegrass festivals, and the number of the iterations of those same songs they learn to play are exponential. What was lacking for a while was a new take, new chapters, new songs being added to the bluegrass biblical canon. And don't get me wrong, every genre has its purists, but the key word in that sentence is was. In recent years, we have seen not only a growing acceptance, but a growing desire for bluegrass music on a massive commercial scale. Albums by long-standing artists such as the Steel Drivers and Ricky Skaggs are now in the same section as artists like Sturgill Simpson and Tyler Childers, etc. Out of this heartland happening springs forth our guest today, the one and only Billy Strings. Billy Strings, a Grammy Award-winning wunderkind, initially hails from rural central Michigan, but currently resides in Nashville, Tennessee. Strings took to music early on and learned to play bluegrass from and with his father, going as far as to mimic the way his dad's hands looked on a guitar in order to obtain similar stylings. Up until about his teens, Strings would play bluegrass with his dad and his dad's friends, finding inspiration in the music of artists like Doc Watson, David Grissom, and Earl Scruggs. In order to play with musicians his own age, Strings turned to rock and metal and groups like Black Sabbath and the Grateful Dead as part of his upbringing. These early experiences with metal in particular would later shape Strings' approaches to music, bringing an insane energy that is uncommon in roots music performance. Billy Strings began playing full-time around 2012 and in 2017 was listed as one of Rolling Stone's top 10 country artists to know. Although he had 2 records prior, Strings made waves with the release of his album Turmoil and Tinfoil, which came out in 2017, and then followed up with that same string-centered, rip-roaring energy with the release of his album Home in 2019. Billy Strings' music is bluegrass and beyond. His lyrics reflect a critical understanding of the skill and the power of songwriting. His songs often take the time to comment on personal happenings, his concerns regarding economic and ecological disruptions, and just general musings on life itself, all amplified by the immaculate production style of the records overall. There are moments within Billy Strings' catalog that arguably border on soundscape due to the inclusion of complicated chromaticisms and lingering sonic intricacies that are hard to pin down. But they make the records an experience. I know you just heard me tell you a whole paragraph about his work, but trying to describe exactly how good Billy Strings is, it's ineffable. I know it's a really weird year and live streams aren't exactly the same as seeing live performances, but Billy Strings has been doing several shows through nugs.com. You can find all the information on his website, and I would highly recommend it. The ones that I've seen, amazing. So join us today as our host Robert Earl Keen speaks with Billy Strings about learning to play, the skill of songwriting, and looking up Americana music in the interview. I'm your producer, Clara Rose, and this is Americana Podcast, the 51st state.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Earl Keen, and you're listening to Americana Podcast. Today, we are talking with guitar phenom and bluegrass monster, Billy Strings, ladies and gentlemen. So really happy to have you here, Billy. How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Yeah, thank you. This is especially exciting for me. I enjoyed playing and listening to bluegrass for a long time. So I'm a huge fan of the whole genre, and it's good to talk to somebody who is definitely a real player and puts together records the way I think bluegrass records should sound these days for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. Well,
So you're living in Nashville now, is that right?
yeah, right over here in East Nashville.
For like like the last 4 years or something?
5 years now.
5 years, no kidding. So I understand you were testing the traffic laws with Vince Herman not too long ago.
Well, I had to squeeze the mustard a little bit, And I had my bass boat behind me. I didn't want to try to stop, at the red light, so I just kept going, and that's when we saw the cherries and berries back there.
Wow. So you got stopped then, right?
Yeah, we did, but it all turned out okay. Yeah. And I wrote a little song about it too, like a talking blues song. It's great. Eventually, I'm going to put that out so people can hear, the real story of what actually happened that day. But basically, me and Vince were going to go fishing out at Dale Hollow Lake to try to catch some smallmouth, and got pulled over, and it smelled like weed. And, I gave Mr. Officer Looper my dope, but it all turned out okay. I didn't get in any trouble or anything like that. So we actually still ended up going fishing that day, but I learned a lesson in only breaking one law at a time.
Best to do that, I would certainly say. I understand you just did 5 nights at the Capitol Theater in Port Chester, New York. Is that right?
Was it 5 or 6? I think it might have been 6.
6 nights. 6 nights. Yeah. And I understand it's sort of an echo or a recreation of a Grateful Dead show from February 1971. Is that there too as well?
Yeah, they did these shows back then, and they've played there, quite a few times, and it seems that place is kind of, it's an intimate place and really sweet, and it sounds really amazing in there. So they used to put on some real bangers there, I guess. And these 6 shows, they did this weird ESP project where they tried to, have all their fans who were like, tapped in on acid and all sorts of crazy shit. And they were trying to send images through the ether to people who were, in totally asleep over, across the big pond. So that was just a really interesting thing. Those guys were really experimenting with consciousness, and we all love the band. Everybody in my band and on the crew and everything. We all love the Grateful Dead. So we just want to say thank you to them and kind of give them a little nod and try to recreate, not really recreate, but just give them a little nod. And also, it's a really interesting thing to do right now because of the ESP thing. It's like, we're all kind of stuck at home right now, or we can't be there together in concerts. There was nobody there at the Capitol, but we were all trying to kind of be there together consciously.
Yeah, I understand. You gathered a pretty large group of deadheads that were not as aware of you as a lot of the rest of the music people around.
You mean like at the Cap or just in general?
No, in general.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's we get into that same sort of musical territory, like improvisational kind of, nobody knows what the hell's going on and somebody just starts leading the way, and it's like it's really risky music, vulnerable, and to be up there and playing stuff that's not really rehearsed. But sometimes because you're on the spot, you come up with some really cool shit, and then all of a sudden the whole band is vamping on this cool thing we just came up with. And it's like, hell yeah, all right, now we're jamming. And the crowd's in on it too, they are super involved. They, I think, have as much to do with it as we do. Sometimes I think like we can only play as good as the audience that night. But it's a really fun thing to try to do, even just with my boys, like at the streaming things when there was nobody there. It's
right.
Just close your eyes and get lost in the music and try to navigate through some sort of whatever it is, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, so before we get into the nuts and bolts of your background, I have an awareness question. I was just curious if you might be aware of this.
What's that?
Stevie Ray Vaughan's born October 3rd, 1954, and you're born October 3rd, 1992. And Stevie Ray left us when he was 38 years old, and you were born 38 years later. So I was curious if you were aware of that at all.
No.
Yeah. So,
no, I didn't know. I mean, I knew he was born on October 3rd, but I didn't know it was that when I was born, it was 38 years later. That's kind of, wow, what a trip.
Mm-hmm. I thought so. So let's talk about your background a little bit. You started playing when you were a young age, and with your dad, your stepdad, is that right? Terry Barber?
That's right. Yeah, and I'd call him my dad. Okay. He raised me and taught me everything I know, and he taught me a lot about, music and stuff. But he stepped in when I was about 2 years old.
Really?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm. And but my biological father too, his side of the family, they were also musical as well. So it kind of comes natural. And I was very lucky to have my dad to stick a guitar in my hands when I was a little kid. Mm-hmm. And I really wanted it. I really wanted to pick with them guys because it was just like the way of life. There was, my mom and dad would have, a buddy would come over and smoke a joint, and the guitars would come out and they'd start picking some tunes, and that was my house. It was, and sometimes there'd be these bigger parties, and it was fun.
And so your dad never played professionally. I keep running across that. It's very specific about he was not a professional musician.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say he was ever like out touring on the road. He played some bar gigs back in his day, I would say. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he never went on tour or anything like that. I think he's definitely a professional level musician. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a badass. He's one of the best. I mean, he is the best to me. No one can touch him. He's amazing, and that's where I learned from, man. Is him. And so yeah, when I was little, at first I had this little plastic guitar when I was like 3 years old or whatever, sitting in my high chair. And I used to pick on that. Like I had a little guitar pick and I would just scratch on the plastic of it and play along. And then when I was about 4, we were walking through this antique shop and I saw this guitar up in there, and it was like the light was shining down on it, man. It was like, I need this thing. And we didn't have, a lot of money or nothing. And my dad spent his last little $30 that he had on that guitar. And, cause I threw a fit about it. And man, he took me home and showed me G, C, and D, gave me a capo. And by the next year I was playing Lost All My Money but a $2 bill.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
Man, oh man.
Yeah, and Beaumont Rag and Salt Creek and, How Mountain Girls Can Love. And
how old were you then, Billy?
I'd say I was about 7 by the time I really started to really grasp it and play. I was my dad's rhythm player.
Yeah.
That really helped me with my music. Like I only played rhythm for a very long time. And it wasn't until I was like, a teenager or something that I tried to start taking like breaks on like a fiddle tune. So I just played, rhythm. Right. And I learned how 2 guitars can sound really cool. If I'm playing an open A and my dad's playing capoed on the 2nd fret in a G position and playing both guitars like that, it really opens up the sound. And, just interesting, that Doc and Merle stuff,
When you played with him, did you play any other types of music other than bluegrass? Given that, a lot of old country songs are basically crossover pretty much.
Yeah. There was definitely some of those, John, like there was this old bird we used to pick with. He basically lived on the river. His name was Catfish. But his real name was Danny Gray, though. But he was a cat fisherman, and he'd sit down there on the Maple River and get them big old flatheads and stuff. But he had a deep voice, and he could sing like Johnny Cash. And so I did learn, I Walk the Line and stuff like that whenever he would sing it. And then so it was like, well, I never felt more like singing the blues, 'cause I never thought that I'd ever lose your love, dear. You know that song?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So stuff like that, man. Good old classics, I mean, there was even like Everly Brothers stuff. And then, a lot of, so there's all this, I mean, man, my dad was born in 55. So he likes everything from Buddy Holly to, Hendrix, and
right.
And he also was really like raised on a lot of bluegrass, Bill Monroe, Doc Watson, Flatt and Scruggs, and he loved Larry Sparks and Jimmy Martin and all those guys, and passed that on to me. I feel, the other day I was talking to Brian Sutton. I was just texting him, and it was on Doc's birthday, and he said, "Happy Doc Day." And I said, man, I feel just so lucky to even just be in the know about his music and his, I feel so lucky to be one of the people that knows about Doc Watson. Not only that, it reminds me of my childhood.
Have you ever played one of those Gallagher guitars?
Yeah, I sure have. They're dang good, man.
Are they still around, or they don't make them anymore? I don't see them very often.
Yeah, they're still making them. I believe Don Gallagher's, his son or somebody took over, and they're still cranking them out. Right down here, I think still. I don't know if they're still in Wartrace, Tennessee, but they're somewhere around here.
Right. I love the depth and then of Doc's voice and the resonance in it. I always love that.
Gosh, yeah, he could just do anything, and he could also yodel like a, and he could. Yeah, but I know what you mean. When he sang that deep baritone, and he sang it so straightforward, and just there wasn't like a lot of vibrato or nothing. It was just good, clean melody. Same way with his picking, man. It was just like a mountain stream. It was just crystal clear.
So when you got older, you moved into metal music to just sort of branch out or socialize with people your age? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like in middle school, and by that time I had an electric guitar. My dad bought me a little Strat and a pig nose amp, and I started learning Led Zeppelin and Hendrix and Black Sabbath and stuff. And then I started playing a lot more electric guitar because my brother had a drum set too. So when I was in middle school, like, I didn't necessarily go around telling everybody I played bluegrass. I wasn't embarrassed, but it was just like something that I did with my dad. And, and that I did around the house, and that it was like me and my dad's thing, like going fishing or something, like,
right.
It was just like, but there came a point where I just wanted to play music with people that were my age, because I had only played music with like my dad and his older friends. I was a kid in middle school, and these guys are all in their 40s and, 40s and 50s. And, and I'm like, well, shit, I want to play somebody with music, with people who are 13 and 14 like me, and that are into the same stuff, skateboarding and, video games and shit. Like, I always got along with older people because I played bluegrass. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
yeah.
Like, even when I was a little kid, I feel like all the old people really liked me or whatever because I could sing, Blue Moon of Kentucky.
Right.
And, but it was cool. It was like, I liked that, back then, especially when I was a little boy. Like, I used to just dress just like my dad and shit, man. If he wore a ball cap, I wore a ball cap. And he wore Levi's, I wore Levi's too. And, and man, I used to watch him play. The way that I learned how to play guitar, is just, I used to just stare at his hands. Like, if you look at my right hand nowadays, the way that I hold my pick, it's exactly like my dad does. And I have a picture of me just staring right at his right hand when I was little. And I remember looking at his hand and then looking at mine and then going, okay, well, he holds his 3 fingers out like this, you know, and he holds his pick like that. And I just look at Dad's hands and then look at mine and make your hands look like his, you know. And that's how I learned it, just sitting there picking with him and stuff. And man, but he turned me on to all sorts of shit when I was young, you know, like he turned me on to David Grisman when I was like 7 years old. I'll never forget it, you know, because he sat me down, because I already knew about Doc Watson, but he sat me down and was like, son, you need to know this. This is David Grisman, you know? And I was like, sweet, you know, it's badass. But he did the same thing with Black Sabbath, man. And that was a trip because, you know, it was like when I was finally old enough to him, and he sat me down and was like, okay, this is Black Sabbath. And he turned on that first record. He put the old record on and he turned it way up. He had this big old stereo and he's like, what is this that stands before me? All this crazy, you know, talking about Satan and this figure in black, which points at me and eyes of fire and the bells and the thunder. And it was just like, I was terrified, man. It like traumatized me or something. But I was also totally infatuated at the same time, just like the Wolfman. When I was a little kid, I fucking loved the Wolfman. Dude, I like, you know, Lon Chaney Jr., like it was, you know, I was so scared because I knew he was out there in the woods. I expect like on a full moon, like if we were taking a ride in the car and it was dark and I'm looking out and there's trees, I'm like, oh my God, those are wolf trees. Like he's out there, you know, and I knew he was real. But yeah, dude, like I was terrified of it, but I also couldn't stop. I held this little Wolfman figurine in my hand for like a whole year. Like this little toy, you know. I just loved the Wolfman and those old monster movies, you know.
So I'm thinking of a Long Forgotten Dream. Does some of those thoughts play into that song there?
Yeah. And that one's kind of, I honestly don't know what I was thinking when I wrote that shit, but you know where I was when I wrote it? I was in Austin.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were at an Airbnb, and it was during South by, and I was in some sort of crazy mood, man. And I just had to step out back, and it just came to me. And but yeah, that one I think is almost like, I don't know what I was trying to do really. It's like angry about like, about like maybe like environmental shit, like, you know, like you need to pay attention, you know, you need to wake, like, or we need to do something different, like, because it used, you know, like,
well, it certainly has a scary spirit-like quality to it, you know.
Yeah.
And how you recorded it and all. I enjoyed that a lot, the way that was. So Billy, our producer Clara Rose has said a few times that bluegrass and metal are actually similar genres in that they're both community-driven. You know, and you've said there are similarities between the mandolin and electric guitar. You have any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so in metal, one of the things that I did on the electric guitar definitely was play tremolo just really fast, you know, and that's definitely like a Bill Monroe thing, like on the mandolin.
Right.
But just the speed and energy of it, you know, to me, like when I hear like a hardcore Foggy Mountain breakdown, you know, it almost does the same thing for me as like some Slayer song or something, where it's like, you know, it's just like heavy, fast, awesome, freaking badass, you know?
Yeah, right.
And yeah, but I'll tell you this, man. One day I was at my house and I was just sitting around one day and like ate a mushroom or something. And I had my YouTube channel on and I watched live performances of the Doors, you know, Jim Morrison doing his thing. I watched a bunch of Hendrix. I watched like Led Zeppelin. I watched, you know, all of this old, awesome rock and roll. And then I like went and did something for a little while. And somehow when I came back, my YouTube had made its way back to Train 45, Bill Monroe, and Kenny Baker.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And that shit rocked harder than any of the stuff I was listening to. It did. It rocked harder.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they were playing, more badass. It was just like those guys are playing the shit out of their instruments,
Yeah.
And Bill's singing up high,
Uh-huh.
and twin fiddles and just raging tempos. It was like, okay, I might even rather see this than Jim Morrison up there talking about three-eyed snakes and shit,
Uh-huh. Right. And I read that you said that bluegrass put the music part of your life together, and that metal brought the performance part to it, and that when you step on stage, you sort of bring that energy, like you just said. You're talking about Kenny Baker and Bill Monroe, or any metal band, that you just feel like that's a big part of performing, and that puts
it's a weird thing
out there, makes a statement immediately, I guess.
Yeah, it's a weird thing because like in bluegrass, the guys just stand there, but they play so amazingly.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in a metal band, we would jump all over the stage and climb the walls and headbang and spit on people and jump into the crowd and, all sorts of shit. And our guitars weren't even in tune. I mean, it's probably sounded horrible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So,
yes.
But we were entertaining the folks because we were getting all rowdy.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I feel like there's definitely a line there where it's like, sometimes I have to reel that in even because it'll take away from, my guitar playing will suffer.
Right.
If I get too into it, like that, but I can't help it sometimes. Like I'll just go up to the front of the stage and rock out with the people and stuff because, we're performing. You got to put on a performance for the people, man. Something happens when I walk on stage. It's like, all right, let's go. Like, let's just run it. Let's raid.
We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with our interview shortly. At Americana Podcast, it is our goal to define and expand on the genre of Americana music as much as possible. With help from our skilled seer and archival explorer, Will Vogt, this is Will's Pick. Greg Trooper, All the Way to Amsterdam, from the album Incident on Willow Street. Americana music lost a very talented musician when Greg Trooper died of cancer in 2017. Although diminutive in physical stature, Trooper had a big heart, a big voice, and was an excellent songwriter. His musical talent is showcased on the 13 records he released in his lifetime. Extensive touring in the U.S. and Europe garnered many fans who recognized his gift as a songwriter and as a performer. He was also well known for his onstage wit and his humorous lead-ins to many of his most popular songs. Trooper's songs are populated with life struggles of the common man and the twists and turns of the ways of the heart. Born in New Jersey, Trooper got his first taste of popular music in the folk clubs of Greenwich Village in the early 1970s. Moving to Austin and then Lawrence, Kansas, where he attended University of Kansas, he refined his style and found his early voice as a singer-songwriter. The 1980s found him back in New York, where he formed the Greg Trooper Band, which included Larry Campbell, who later played in Bob Dylan's band for 7 years. The band recorded 2 albums that were well received. Around that time, Trooper's music found its way to the ears of Steve Earle, and he included Trooper's Little Sister on his Copperhead Road release. By the 1990s, Trooper was living in Nashville and working on a solo career. He made a record called Noises in the Hallway, which was produced by E Street Band bassist Gary Talent and got favorable notice in the music press. In the 2000s, Trooper recorded a number of great albums, including Help Me Make It Through This World, which was produced by the legendary Dan Penn. Will Vogt's first exposure to Trooper's music came when he heard the song Hummingbird on a satellite radio. The rocking track, which is a playful remembrance of his father's guitar, is the kind of song you want to hear on the radio, and immediately pulled to the side of the road to write down the title. Although that was a finalist for this episode's pick, Will's pick has to be Trooper's final studio album, Incident on Willow Street, and is All the Way to Amsterdam. Trooper's song of a young girl's dreams of escaping Texas and an abusive father to skate the canals of Amsterdam is a wonderful lyric creation. She dreams about it every night. She sets her sights and makes her plan. One day she'll live to escape her plight and skate all the way to Amsterdam.
Hello, everyone. This is Robert Earl Keen, and you're listening to Americana Podcast. All right. Well, we've been visiting with Billy Strings. I'd like to talk to you about writing now, Billy, if it's okay. At first, you obviously, but you started writing by yourself and wrote songs. When was it that you felt like, how many songs did you write before you felt like you kind of had a knack for it?
Man, I think Dust in the Baggie was only a couple. It was like the third or second song I wrote,
Really?
But it didn't really come. That didn't really come as easy as just like playing the music, And I was in bands where I helped with the music part, but writing lyrics was a whole different story.
Uh-huh.
And I actually wrote my first song when I was 16, and I was coming down off something.
Right.
And I was in this weird headspace, and I just the pen just hit the paper, and it didn't lift up until the song was done. But that song's not much to speak of, but I did write my first song. And then after that, honestly, maybe Dust in the Baggie was the next song after that. I don't know, man. And that just happened when I was at work. Mm-hmm. I was like working in a hotel, and I just had my little notepad on me, and
right.
And it was, it's a true story about a buddy of mine he was a banjo picking friend of mine, man. He ended up in jail for all that speed and shit. And I wrote a song about him, but that just all happened in about a half hour at work. And when I went home that day, I played the song, and it was like, okay, I got it pretty much. And it was just a little song that I played around at, house parties and just to my buddies, like in the living room or whatever.
Right.
But that song is like, I don't think I'll ever achieve that again.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? And it might be the first song I ever, like maybe the second song I ever wrote, but might be one of the best too. To me, shit, I wish I could come up with another song like that. I didn't know what I was doing when I wrote it. And I think, I think young people write some of the best stuff, like teenagers and stuff. The headspace that they're in. Maybe later on in life I'll get into another cool headspace or something, you know, or maybe later on this year, or maybe even later on today.
Well, do you find like a lot of the good songs do come pretty easily? That when you write one, that they kind of fall out, and then the ones that you chisel on a long time, as much as you can love them, they don't quite work as well sometimes.
Well, maybe they will work, but you have to work harder for them.
Right.
But then the ones that just fall out, they're just so plain and good, because they just fell out like that. It was natural. And there's something to be said there, It's about just putting it down. It's almost like those drawings where you just put the pencil down and you make your entire drawing, you don't lift up or something.
Right.
But yeah, some of the best ones I think have just kind of popped out, and it's like, wow, we started writing this song an hour ago, and now it's done, and holy smokes, that's cool.
You write with other people now. I love this part, Billy, is where you said that you work on the craft of songwriting as if it's a skill. Being like I would make this distinction that a skill can continually be learned and improved, where just raw talent is raw talent, and I like the whole idea that you think of it as like something that you can just keep working on and keep getting better at. I mean it. From what I've read. Anyway, so, what is your co-write experience like?
I've had a really good time with it. Like ever since I moved to Nashville, I've been writing with John Weisberger and my friend Aaron Allen. He's actually back up in Michigan, but there's people down here that are doing that. And I noticed that right away when I moved to town. Everybody's writing together. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I got to get in on that. So I started doing it, and I found, it's a compatibility thing. Mm-hmm. You definitely have to have like compatibility with the person. I've sat down with people that it just didn't work.
So your favorite, other than John and Aaron, the other favorite co-writers that you like to write with?
Well, I wrote one or two with Steve Poltz.
Mm-hmm.
He's really cool.
That's the one that did the Jewel thing. Is that what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's him?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Steve Poltz. He's awesome.
Yeah. He's got some good, good stage patter, I'd say.
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah.
He's the best, man. He's a nut.
Yeah.
And then I wrote one with Ronnie Bowman the other day, which, I love him. And, just anyone who wants to write, really. I mean, I'm always trying to collect songs. So I'm down for whatever, but I really enjoy writing with John Weisberger and Aaron Allen. I think that's
right.
The three of us make a nice little team. This new record that we got coming out, a few of the songs I wrote with my band, with Jared Walker, Royal Massat, and Billy Failing.
Right, and you wrote Jared. You wrote what? Everything's the Same with Jared. Is that? Right?
Yeah,
I have that right.
Yeah, I mean that was his.
I like that little song. That's a cool song.
Yeah, well, that was his tune that he kind of had halfway done, and he brought it, and I helped. I just helped him finish it.
Right.
But yeah, then we got Flux on there, and he glued it all together.
Yeah. Nice. Really great. I had Jerry Douglas play a record, back in the late 20th century with me, and all I remember thinking was watching him play, and thinking, I just would like to know what it would be like to play like that for 1 hour, just so I'd have that memory.
I know.
But, the memory of just watching him play was enough. So, and the stuff that he does on your record is really, really cool. Really, really, warm and tasteful. Is great.
Yeah, well, the other song that he's on is Love Like Me. And that's one of the songs like we were talking about that just comes out and it's simple. And to me, that's one of the best ones I've ever written yet. Me and John have ever written yet. I love stuff like that. Like, to me, some of the strongest shit is like, like the Stanley Brothers, it takes a worried man to sing a worried song.
You mentioned Love Like Me, is that right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a standard, It's really like one that will stand the test of time.
Yeah, man, it seems like Dust in the Baggie has already kind of made its way into like some jam circles and stuff, which is really, that is, there's a lot of amazing things. And I think one of the biggest rewards is, when somebody tells me that my music helps them in some way.
Right.
But to see like younger kids like sitting around at a camper, sitting there playing Dust in a Baggie, like, man, that makes me like tear up or something. It's just like, what,
Right.
Holy shit. I mean, these younger dudes are playing my song, and that's wild,
That's so. What are some of your favorite bluegrass festivals to perform at?
We only got to do Telluride once, but man, I want to go back to that and stay all weekend and then some.
Yeah.
But we've done Gray Fox quite a number of years, and I've done a residency there, where I played I just sat in with everyone.
Right.
It was awesome. It was also really, I was really, really tired, but.
And did you go to bluegrass festivals when you were a kid with your dad?
I went to a couple for sure. And it was Charlotte Bluegrass Festival,
right,
up in Michigan, and there was also the WMBMA, the West Michigan Bluegrass Music Association, and they had a little Fall Fest, which is just over in Lowell, Michigan, about 25 minutes from our house. So we would go over there. But the festivals that I went to when I was a kid were 300 people maybe, and a bunch of old people in their campers and stuff, and nobody even went to the stage. Everybody's just out in the campground picking. I mean,
that's part of it. I mean, really, isn't it? I mean,
to us, it was the main part. We didn't even see the bands, you know? I mean, we didn't I never made it to the stage to see music. I just went there to pick,
Right.
And So when it wasn't until later that I realized that Telluride and, stuff like that exists, I had no idea. To me, I thought, okay, bluegrass is just a small kind of music, until I learned about, String Cheese Incident and these bands who were playing at Red Rocks and stuff. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, hey, they're playing flat picking guitar. That's what I do. I want to play in front of 10,000 people.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah. The whole campground experience in the world of bluegrass, I think is like you said, as much a part of the, great experience as the stage experience is. It's just cool,
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, that's how I cut my teeth and really got good, is because we'd play it all night long until our fingers were done,
Right.
And everybody's just calling out tunes, and a lot of them you don't know, so you just got to hang on. And then it's like, okay, after doing that a couple of times, now I know that tune. Next time somebody calls it, I got that.
And I want to ask you specifically about a couple of songs, or just make a comment, even Billy. Taking Water is just. I really like the whole metaphor. I love the melody, and it's really solid. Can you fill me in on that one?
Well, I think it's about like kind of where I grew up, man, and not just where I grew up, but just small town America in general. I think, like, I want to say it's about Flint. Kind of just forgotten. It's about Detroit. Abandoned, forgotten, entire neighborhoods that are just run down and completely. Everybody just took off, man, and now, like, I don't know. And it's like, seems like there could have been some better way for a lot of that shit to be handled, but I mean, at least the Flint thing. But I don't know. I think that's kind of what it was about. Is like, holy shit, and
you wrote that with John, maybe,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And then another one that I really enjoyed was Freedom, and I like the fact that you took a kind of a bluegrass gospel format and really didn't make it a spiritual song. It was more about freedom. And I thought it was cool.
Yeah, and I wrote that one with Lindsay Lou. Do you know Lindsay?
No, I don't. No.
Oh man, you should check her music out. She's
I will.
Really amazing. Well, she's a good friend of mine, and she lives down here in Nashville too.
Right.
But we got together one actually on a winter afternoon in Nashville, which is weird because you don't get very many of those. I mean, snowy.
Right.
And just came up with that song. I don't know how. We just kind of kept writing down shit that would rhyme and sound cool.
Yeah.
And that's what we came up with. Yeah, I really do like that too, because on all my records, we get kind of out there. We put big jams and stuff, and we get out there. But I like to play a little clawhammer banjo. Maybe put a little gospel tune on there, like you were saying. Stuff like that, just to keep it, to make sure there's that little dose of purity. When it comes to like just good old fashioned bluegrass and traditional music.
Right.
Not all just UFO aliens, crazy, leprechauns and mushrooms and shit.
So, just career-wise, Billy, given that, bluegrass today, especially, it's really grown, and there's so many more people listening to it. It seems to be just the popularity. It doesn't have so much stigma as it used to. It's just something that's like great music, enjoyable, like you say, has a lot of energy a lot of times. And so, I mean, you've got this thing happening. How far do you want to go? And I'm talking about just full blown, out there in the world of music entertainment.
I'd love to I'd love to be playing big arena shows with a banjo,
Right.
I think that'd be amazing to be playing, because I'm still going to play a Bill Monroe song even when I'm there.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I listen to a lot of, popular music. I listen to Billie Eilish and Post Malone and stuff like that. And I mean, that bigger, as
Right.
as big as it can get,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not, I mean, I will, yeah, that's my goal, is to take it as far as it will go. That's always been my goal, in life, is just to take it as high as I can. Every time I reach one little, milestone or something, it's just time to step up. Or, we got to write new music, or we got to practice more. We got to get better. We got to step up our production. We got to, it's just got to keep growing. As we're growing, the music has to get better too. And so, yeah, we're always working our asses off for sure, but it's worth it because, like, I don't know. And I'm not all worried about that either. I mean, I would love to go play for 20 people just as much as I'd love to play for, 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever. When I was a little kid, I used to read, Janis Joplin and Hendrix, Kurt Cobain and Jim Morrison, all these, their biographies and stuff. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's always been my like dream to do that. But when I was like a teenager, I realized that that's not really, or at least back then, I didn't really think it was even fathom. Like I couldn't even fathom that, or like it, it wouldn't, like that's not going to happen. But I did realize that you could play music and, make enough money to pay the bills and keep it going and just keep rocking out and having fun.
Right.
It sure beats working some crummy job that you kind of don't like and, having somebody pointing their finger in your face and shit, telling you what to do,
Yes, it does.
I mean, shit, I'd rather play guitar any day. And at the end of the day, even if everything goes to shit, it's like, dude, we're just playing music, man. Like it's not the end of the world,
Since we are Americana Podcast, we do like to talk about Americana, specifically the genre Americana, in that we want to expand and define and expose Americana to people. So the first question I'd have is, and I'm please indulge me, but would you consider yourself Americana?
I don't know. I mean, most of the time I just say bluegrass, but then there's also that. I mean, well, bluegrass, you just, you don't use effects pedals in bluegrass, and, that kind of shit. So,
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm still sort of unfamiliar on what that term means exactly. And I actually just looked it up, and it just says a genre of American music having roots in early folk and country music. Yes, I would say we are Americana because we play a lot of early folk and country music, for sure. Stanley Brothers, all that Carter family shit.
Right.
All the from the Doc Watson, the North, like that whole Appalachian area, absolutely. And then, I mean, I guess you could say maybe Americana and then kind of like some kind of form of progressive bluegrass or something, because, if we just say bluegrass, it's not really traditional bluegrass because, let's get real. Like we play like Pearl Jam songs and shit.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, but it is though. It's not. It's not bluegrass. I don't know. I don't know, man. I've just like heard so much about this that I don't even know anymore.
Right. Well, like, okay, say, take it outside of you and say, who would you consider it really, in your own definition of Americana, who would you consider the quintessential Americana artist?
Oh, shit, man. I don't, like Levon Helm or something? I mean, I don't know. He's the first person that came to mind, I guess.
Right.
But there's so many great bands. I mean, to me, like that could mean anything. Like I'm thinking of my friend Lindsay Lou for one thing. Her band was, kind of a little bit of bluegrass folk, but she sings like a bird, and and it's like that. And I'm also thinking of a band, the Appleseed Collective, where the guitar player kind of is based in a Django thing, and they have a washboard, and they
Right.
do that kind of almost gypsy jazz thing, but again, they're writing their own songs just with that as at the roots.
Right.
It's not like they're going out. I mean, they might play, minor step or something, but or minor swing, but like, for the most part, it's like just they're doing their own thing, but there's a banjo in the band and shit, which is cool. It's really awesome. But then it's kind of like what we're doing, when we play our original stuff, it is what it is. I don't know what the hell genre it is, but then, we will play some bluegrass that night. We will play, some Bill Monroe stuff.
I wouldn't be talking to, a bluegrass wizard like yourself without really knowing, what's your favorite stage guitar? What's your favorite guitar to sit around the house and play songs or write songs
on? Well, my stage guitar, my main one is a Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
They're built out there in Sisters, Oregon. And I think I got 4 of them. But they're just amazing. They build them in real, one at a time. And there's like, 6 or 10 people in the shop, man. It's just a small little business. But Preston, he's no longer with us, Preston Thompson. But he was a really kind guy, and he was an amazing luthier, man. He really knew what he was doing. And so he started that thing, and they kept it going, and he actually gave me the guitar that I'm talking about that I play on stage. It's a Brazilian dreadnought. And yeah, I guess it's a Thompson DBA, dreadnought with Adirondack top. It's amazing. So when we play, I plug in, and then we use in-ear monitors and stuff. And that guitar just sounds the best, like, to me, with that setup. And then around the house, I have a 1948 D28 that I got from Brian Sutton, and that thing's really fun to play acoustically and just sit there with it in your lap and play.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, I have another Thompson, which is an OM, like an orchestra model, and that's Madagascar rosewood and a spruce top, and I like the little smaller body on that for writing, because if I play the D28, I'll just sit there and play it and drool over how good it sounds. I won't get anything done. Yeah.
I find on the writing world that it's nice to have one that's just comfortable and feels good, in your hands when you're playing.
Yeah, like I also have this old like Silvertone guitar.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of a piece of junk, but I like writing on that too because it's just got some energy that's like, I don't know, the way that it sounds shitty in a good way.
So we're going to go with the lighter side, Billy. You ready?
Yes, sir. Let's.
Okay. What are some of your little known hobbies?
I don't know about little known, but I'm a fisherman. I like bass fishing a whole lot. I got it bad. I woke up at 4:00 this morning to go fishing so I could do it before this podcast.
Good for you, man.
I was going to say little known ones. I can sew things.
Oh.
I know how to run a sewing machine.
Whoa. That's pretty impressive. That comes in handy too.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. What's the last book you read?
Bass Strategies by Kevin Van Dam.
What is your all-time favorite guilty pleasure movie?
Guilty pleasure movie.
Yeah, given, being guilty pleasure being something, I've had to explain this before. So where you wouldn't necessarily want to tell the whole world that, although I'm trying to get you to tell the whole world that.
Okay, well, not a movie, but there's a really cute show called This Is Us.
Uh-huh.
And it's got like Mandy Moore in it, and she's got a little family, and I used to watch that with my girlfriend a bunch, and it was really sweet.
Nice. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Oh, both. I just love them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on tour, so like I can't have an animal, but I mean, I guess I would say maybe a dog person, but I love cats too, and I would, I freaking love them. They're sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
I'm just an animal person.
Yeah. I think it's always a good reflection on a person when they love animals. What venue do you miss the most during this time?
Man, it's been so long since I've played a gig. I don't even remember where we used to play, man. I mean, man, the spring tour we had lined up was going to be super cool. I'll say I want to play at the Anthem in DC again because, man, I do. I miss playing for all those people, and that's a big old place that we played with Green Sky before. And man, we were supposed to play there on spring tour too, and it all got canceled. We were supposed to play at the Fillmores and all sorts of great stuff. And it just sucks that it got canceled because we were on a good roll.
And so we're going to move on to the lightning round. We're doing the lightning round with Billy Strings here on Americana Podcast. My name is Robert Earl Keen. So these are pretty much either or. There's a couple of multiple choice. You ready? Paranoid or Masters of Reality?
I'm going to go with Masters of Reality.
F-style or A-style mandolin?
F-style.
Claw hammer or Scruggs style banjo?
Scruggs.
Lester Flatt or Bill Monroe?
Big Mon.
All right. D18 or D28?
Well, I got me a D28, so I'm going to say that.
All right. Norman Blake or Doc Watson?
It's got to be Doc.
Doyle Lawson or The Seldom Seen?
I like John Duffy a whole lot, and I like his cool pants too.
Yeah, they just put out they have a biography out on him. Man. Someone gave me a copy of the biography on him.
Oh wow, I'll have to check that out, man.
Pretty good. CBGB's or Tootsie's Orchid Lounge?
I've never been to CBGB's, so I'm gonna say that because it sounds cool.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a multiple choice. Peter Rowan's nickname is Peter the Great, Rowan Your Boat Ashore, Pedro Rojo, or Oscar Alonso.
All of the above, man.
Pretty much catches it. Steppenwolf or the Zombies?
Steppenwolf.
All right. Judas Priest or Black Sabbath?
Sabbath.
All right. The bluegrass sound is most frequently described as Appalachian music, rural reggae, high and lonesome, or Smoky Mountain smooth jazz.
Smoky Mountain smooth jazz. Always.
Every time.
Yeah.
Turnaround or modulation?
Turnaround.
All right. Okay. So this is your personal choice. Would you rather have a spoon player at a bluegrass jam session or a meet and greet?
I'd rather have him at the meet and greet.
That would work. I could go with that.
Yeah. So at least then I'm not trying to keep time.
So last question. We're always looking for a better name for the beautiful organ instrument known as the B3. We think it's too military sounding, too just not sexy, not warm, not happy. So you have a contribution to what you might think the B3 should be called now?
I'm just going to call it the Kilo.
Nice. I like that. All right. Well, we've been visiting with Billy Strings here on Americana Podcast. I'm your host, Robert Earl Keen, and this is being produced by Clara Rose. And we sure want to thank you, Billy. I really enjoyed talking to you. It just is enlightening and fun. And man, I wish you all the best in the world, and I hope to see you play sometime soon. So let's all get well and safe and get playing again.
Right on, man. Thank you so much for having me, and I hope to see you out there as well.
My pleasure. All right. Thanks a lot, Billy. These conversations are what keep the spirit of Americana alive. Stories that remind us who we are, where we come from, and the songs that carry us through. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure and follow Americana Podcast on Instagram and Facebook and share it with a friend to help us grow. If you have questions or comments for the show, please email us at americanapodcast@robertearlkeen.com. And if you would like to make a donation, you can do so by going to our website, americanapodcast.com. You can find more interviews, behind-the-scenes stories, and full video episodes on our website, as well as the official Robert Earl Keen YouTube channel.
At this time, we would like to thank our host, Robert Earl Keen. Americana Podcast is brought to you by Keen Productions, organized by Kelly Thomas, edited by Brett Brock, video edited by Katie Cranbeer, with original music by Kim Warner. I'm your producer, Clara Rose, and until next time, let the music play.